It happens to us all the time. A brand comes to us spending 100, 200K a month on PPC. And when we dive into their business, we find absurd amounts of waste, 20, 40, 60,000 sometimes in wasted spend. They got the wrong keywords. They don't have the right campaign structures. They're spending way too much money on branded search terms. And as a result, they're not scaling. Look at our client Build a Soil, for example. We helped rebuild their entire structure. They went from 260K to 350K, the same exact product, the same exact market, just a new PPC structuring. If you're new here, I'm Hunter Harris. I'm the founder of Giga Brands, and I've spent over 10 million in ads across the 50 brands that we've scaled, and as a result, done over 200 million in sales. And in this video, I'm gonna show you exactly how we break down Amazon PPC budgeting and how it actually works in 2026. One of the most important pieces of the puzzle is your search query performance report. You can find this inside of Amazon. It's gonna tell you how you're performing from a query perspective. When we're optimizing and scaling brands, especially for PPC, we want to understand what the click-through and conversion rate is against the market, because if we can increase your click-through and conversion rate, it's going to open up our ability to spend a lot more in ads. Really, a huge focus is going through the PPC, understanding what the click-through and conversion rates are, understanding what the spend is, taking a look at what your competitors are doing against yours. So if I see, hey, you have a 2% click-through rate, your competitors have a 6% click-through rate in their similar product value proposition, I would start thinking, right? My cogs are gonna be thinking, what do I need to do in order to increase the click-through rate here? Because that's gonna be one of the bigger constraint points in the funnel. Provided we solve that, we're gonna be able to unlock a lot more growth, be more profitable in PPC, and scale. The old way of running PPC was, hey, we're just going to silo this thing out and we're going to run ads that are gonna be effective, we're gonna get good ACoS, we're gonna just scale and be profitable on the ad side. That does not work in 2025 and certainly not working in 2026, with the exception of very, very, very good products. But if you're in a market that has a little bit more saturation, you need to be competing at the highest levels. And in order to compete at those highest levels, you need to understand what is your SEO, what is the SEO strategy, and how can I use PPC in order to push my product into the algorithm in order to gain more sales velocity and continue to scale. I'm gonna break this wide open and go way deeper, but if you want to skip the backstory and you just want our PPC SEO creative strategy that we implement to take brands from 2, 3, 400K a month to $1 million months, you can download our scale playbook below. So the first thing that I look at just from a high level is what's the match type analysis? What's your exact, your competitors, your phrase, defensive, category, broad, auto targeting, and PAC campaigns looking like? This gives us just a high level understanding of where your ad spend is going, what percentage of your ad sales is it, and do you have any that are performing better than others? Now, this is just super high level because when we look inside of these campaigns, it can be deceiving, right? If we have exact matches are all branded terms, for instance, and those are gonna have better ACoS, but ultimately speaking, you're not getting net new customers into your funnel, then it's not as effective as other campaigns that might have higher ACoS or higher tacos, but they're not net newing new customers into your funnel. We really need to understand the overall flow of traffic, or where your customers are coming from in the journey. Are they coming from branded search? Are they coming from new search? And what happens after that? Are they subscribing, saving, and staying in your ecosystem? Are they leaving? In order for us to really understand how to spend, these are all really important variables to look at. From a high level, I'm understanding the match type analysis, then I'm going and taking a look at the campaign data, just a high level understanding of sponsored products, sponsored videos, sponsored brands, how your spend is converting into sales. You can see here we've done 63,000 in spend to get 440,000 in sales, 4,000 to get 16,000. So just getting an understanding of where the overall flow of spend is going. And then we look at, from a per product level, do you have defensive targeting going on? So we can see here in this brand, there is some defensive targeting on some of the ASINs inside of sponsored products, but they don't have sponsored display defense. And then I want to understand by keyword, what is your coverage, your keyword coverage? Do you have it in exact? Do you have it in broad? Do you have it in phrase? And then I'm understanding where the gaps are. So we can see here, the keywords are going to be blocked, but you can see the first keyword here, they don't have it in sponsored brand video phrase. They're missing a avenue to be spending for almost all their keywords, which means that, hey, why don't we add that? We also have sponsored brand phrase missing for some of these sprays, right? So when we look and we can see 130,000 in sales in the last 30 days for 20K in spend, yeah, that's probably a keyword that we're gonna wanna have horizontally scaled across the entire funnel. So that's just very high level. Now, this is where the money is really made. The money is really made looking at it from a specific query perspective. I'm gonna look at the specific keyword. So this keyword is gonna be blurred out, but we can use it to really understand what is the search volume and what's happening inside of your funnel. I want to look at your impression share. I wanna look at your click share. I wanna look at add to cart share. And I wanna also look at your purchase share against the market. So this is gonna benchmark us on how our performance is against the market. Well, what we do is we build these, what I call a funnel score. And the funnel score is gonna rate how our funnel is performing against the other funnels in the market for these specific keywords. And what happens here is as we go through all the different terms, we can see that our funnel typically is gonna perform very differently across different pockets of search, different intent in search. We wanna really break down what can we buy, right? How can we change these specific keywords to unlock higher levels of performance on these specific keywords, which allows us to compete at higher levels. So when we break down Amazon's algorithm, it very, very clearly says that this is a search query based algorithm. So when I look at scaling a brand, we have click-through, we have conversion, we have 180-day sales volume. Those are the three metrics that actually matter when we scale brands. So if we can have high click-through, high conversion, and we can drive sales volume, we scale very, very well. So that's really what we focus on. Let's take a look at some keywords I'm gonna show you. We can see that week over week, this data fluctuates pretty substantially. If a competitor is running a large deal, for instance, like you can see November 14th week, we had a big dip. Before we were having 18% impression share, now we have 11% impression share, which means we could be spending less on ads, but ad spend is pretty similar. But then when we look at deeper in the funnel, click share, and then we have add to cart share. So we can see some weeks we have 37% add to cart, some we have 40. Purchase share also varies, right? Sometimes we had 48%, sometimes we have 64%. So we really want to understand the patterns of why it's dropping, how to increase it, and what do we need to do in order to keep scaling each individual keyword, and how can we build our creative based on how we're targeting ads, how PPC is spending. Traditionally, if you're doing PPC like we did back in 2024 or 2025 even, it was a lot more based on how this variable was doing without going into creative, into unlocking the funnel. It was a lot of just in a vacuum, how do we increase our ad spend, or how do we get more optimized based on that financial model. 2026 is all about including creative and understanding funnel from a deeper level. I used to say there's 4 core pillars of Amazon. There's really 5. The 5 core pillars, we have SEO, creative, catalog, PPC, and then financial modeling. All these things need to operate in sync. Inside of Amazon, we have that data. We've built the systems. We've built proprietary software that allows us to connect all those dots. Inside the funnel analysis is what it looks like. We have click-through, add to cart, carts of purchase, and conversion rate. Those are the 4 big metrics that we can shift through creative, psychology, pricing that is going to allow us to take the market share, because that's really where you go from 0 to 1, sure, PPC. If you want to go 1 to 10, this is really how you unlock it. People hold on to campaign structures too long. They get very emotional about wanting to kill them, or even coming to the terms with how much money they've literally been wasting. Another thing that I do notice a lot as well is just how often are your campaign budgets in budget. A lot of people do this wrong. They run out of budget midday, and a lot of times midday on is where you can get better performance because other people run out, and then you can take over and actually bid. So really understanding your structuring of how bidding is working, your day parting, how you're spending is really important. This does vary from niche to niche, but when we do go dissect the brand and take a deeper look, we do want to see what the efficiency is here. Another large issue that we see is campaign intent. When we really boil things down, we want to build campaigns in a way that is they're very clean. We understand the intent behind the campaign. They have very minimal amount of keywords in it, so the distribution of spend is very clear. So what happens is when people build campaigns with 2 different types of intent, you're not very clear on what is actually working. And that's how you scale. In order to scale, we need to understand why things are working very clearly. Is a product targeting campaign working against products that have higher expensive items? Is product targeting campaigns working against products that have lower expensive items? Are product target campaigns working against products that have lower reviews? And you can see the pattern here. Is it against products that are having higher reviews, right? So we need to distill down the variables that we can understand and patternize. And then from there, we can understand and isolate those in order for us to increase spend in order to scale. Because at the end of the day, what matters isn't the knowledge, it's the execution of the knowledge into your campaigns in order to scale. And a lot of what happens is the more I talk about what we do inside of Amazon, people just go like, holy shit, this guy is doing 100 times more than I thought that I need to do in order to scale. Amazon rewards three things. They reward your click-through rate, your conversion rate, and your sales velocity. Your PPC strategy should build all three, or you're gonna fuck up your entire yearly budget. If you're spending over 100K a month on Amazon, 50K a month, I mean, even 20, 30K a month, I do highly suggest that you download the Amazon Scale Playbook below. It's a complete source on how we structure budgets, run campaigns, and how we're scaling 9-figure brands inside of Amazon. And if you're doing over 50K a month and you want more, not just information, but you want someone to execute on your behalf and help you scale the next level, let's book a call so we can get on the same page. I only work with serious brands that are ready to scale. If that is you, let's book a time and see if we're a good fit. I'm gonna see you next time.